Hello there! This is Joy KahNah, and welcome to my video on numerological pinnacles. I thought it was time that we all advance a little bit in our exploration of numerology because I have already completed a video series on the personal year numbers, which is a great way to sort of predict what you can expect in your year ahead. We also did a series on the life path numbers, which is essentially the exploration of your soul for your entire lifetime. The next numerological tool that I have found really useful and accurate recently is the concept of numerological pinnacles. Your pinnacle number is something that will usually change 4 times in your lifetime if you live well into old age. And so the numerological pinnacle tells of your exploration over longer periods of time. The first pinnacle dictates the energy of your entire sort of childhood up until about age 30, which also corresponds closely to the time period of your first Saturn return in astrology, so I think that's very interesting. The pinnacle cycle lengths that represent sort of childhood to adulthood, then early adulthood, sort of mature adulthood, and then later life begin at different times depending on your life path number. And I'm going to put up a chart so you can see when each of your pinnacles begins based on your life path. And if you don't know your life path number, I will link a calculator below where you can determine your life path number. I will also link a calculator below where you can determine each of your pinnacles. I think the concept of numerological pinnacles is very healing, particularly this idea that everybody comes of age at different times based on their soul's journey. So a person who is a life path number 9, which is a very mature and wise soul, they're going to reach the end of their first pinnacle, or sort of the end of their childhood, the soonest, at age 27. Whereas somebody who is a life path number 1 and who's learning about sort of leadership and independence and achievement, they're not going to finish the end of that first pinnacle until age 35. Now, what inspired me to make this video on pinnacle numbers was to just encourage all of you to go out and research your pinnacle cycles, because as soon as I learned about this concept, I realized that it is extraordinarily accurate based on the people that I know. These pinnacle cycles are dictating the bigger themes. Some people will look at their personal year number and they'll say, well, yeah, it's my personal year 6 and that's supposed to be about family, but I still don't want to really be with my family. I really just want to be with myself. And that might be because that person is having a pinnacle with vibration 1 or vibration 7, and that pinnacle vibration may be dominating even more than even your personal year number, for example. And my pinnacle number just changed less than 24 hours ago. Yesterday was my birthday, and already I've noticed a change in vibration. So for me, I'm a life path 7. Yesterday was my 29th birthday, so it started my second pinnacle, and my first pinnacle was of vibration 7, and my early life, my first 29 years, were completely dominated by the vibration of 7, by just a need to study and to figure out the meaning of life, and a need to fully realize my intellect and fully realize my intuition, and to balance those two things. And that is the greater theme that I was working on from the time I was born until yesterday. I have now just entered into my second pinnacle, which is of the vibration 3. And I even noticed in the past couple months, I would say about 3 or 4 months before this second pinnacle started, that I started to feel the itch for a lot more things that were of vibration 3. Like, I actually started writing a book in late November, so about 5 months before my pinnacle number would change. I started working on a documentary about 4 months before my pinnacle number changed to 3. And these sort of creative projects, like writing a book and producing a documentary, these kinds of things are very indicative of the 3 vibration and not really the 7 vibration, because 7s are very private and don't want to share their private life. And yet I found myself being so compelled to begin these projects when this year started. And I think it's because my soul was starting to realize, okay, yes, this first pinnacle of vibration 7 is coming to an end, and the next pinnacle is going to be about creativity. And I literally woke up this morning already feeling different, feeling ready to share the wisdom that I've cultivated during this immense time period of 7 introspection. I just feel inspired to share it with the world in creative ways. I also did a little bit of research and look into some public figures this morning to calculate their pinnacle numbers and see how they corresponded. And one of the people that I looked at was actually an artist, and I chose to look at her because I had read her biography already, and she was an artist during the Great War and World War I and also World War II. And I was very interested in her diary and her life cycles. I just found it very perplexing that her sort of level of joy and happiness and things, and her level of creative inspiration as an artist shifted a lot throughout her life. In her early parts of her diary, she spoke at length about her family, and of course, all children are pretty interested in her family, but she really wrote about her family, about the lineage of her grandparents, about everything going on in the home, even to the point of like certain furniture and certain work-related items that were stored in certain rooms, and it was just a huge focus on family and home. And of course, I run her pinnacles this morning and realized that the 6 was her first pinnacle number. She was a life path number 1, and she really came into her own as an artist in her late 30s and around age 40. One thing that struck me when I was reading her diary is that she actually achieved a lot of success as an artist right around age 40. In fact, she writes many times in her later life that she felt that her 40s were when she produced her best work. She lived into her 70s, and even in her 70s, she would compare her work as an artist, a wartime artist. She would compare her work to her when she was about 40, and she would say things like, I don't know if I'll ever be able to top the work that I did at that time, and I don't even know why I'm trying, and a lot of things like that. And I come to find out, when I run her numbers, right, I come to find out that her second pinnacle, which started around age 35 and went into her mid-40s, was of vibration 3. And as an artist, that's going to be the pinnacle when you are going to achieve your best creative work, most likely. So I just thought that was really interesting. Later on in her life, something that really, really shaped her, if not the predominating event of her entire life, was the death of her son. And this changed the entire tone of her work. She actually completely took all of her art mediums and she just focused them all on the theme of death after this. And I guess I shouldn't say that I was surprised, but I was just kind of stunned to realize that actually happened smack dab in the middle of her third pinnacle, which is of vibration 9. And the vibration 9 in numerology is about endings. It is about completion of cycles, and it's about letting go. And if any number, numerology was going to be about death, it would be the number 9. And that was a huge turning point. She had to let go of her child at that time. So it's just extraordinary. In her diary, she describes her later life, and she describes her love and connection with her husband growing a lot. And she says that she felt more connected to him during that time than even when they were young. She also talks about being overcome with emotion a lot more in her later life. And of course, I do the calculations, and she was having a 4th pinnacle with vibration 2, which is about love, harmony, connection to others, and of all of the numerological vibrations, it's probably 2, maybe 2 and 6, but probably 2 that corresponds with the greatest risk for sort of depression or emotional or mental health issues. I think that you'll all find it a very rich experience to calculate your pinnacles and to understand that if you align your long-term goals with the vibration represented by the number of the pinnacle that you are currently in, you will feel the most harmonious, you'll feel the most aligned, and you'll have the greatest likelihood for success. So thank you all so much for watching. Please come back soon. Have a wonderful day, and namaste.